All right. So anyway, Denise, I guess go ahead and bring me over the next person. Okay, if you would. All right, and we'll go from there. So we are sitting right inside the palace, and people are coming and going, and I think Jacob is getting ready to join us, and got another new advertiser I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes. But in the meantime, we're going to start our interview with Jacob. So Jacob, how do you say your last name?
Vazquez.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Some people say Vazquez, so
okay.
Whichever way you want.
Vazquez.
Vazquez is the Spanish way, and then Vazquez is the American way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. So first we're taking a picture in the iPad. Now, you're with a local ministry called Truthful Hope Ministries. Is that
right.
correct?
Yep.
All right. And how did you end up on this show?
So my assistant, Libby, who I think someone was speaking with, she reached out, and she knows you. I think you go to United. So,
yes, yep.
Yeah, so she just reached out looking to get us some awareness. We're fairly new, so we figured we'd jump on here. And I listen to some of your stuff, and it's awesome what you do. So.
For real?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Because I'm not a paid professional.
You got the talent, I will say.
Okay.
I've been sitting here for some time, and it's really amazing what you do.
I'm good at talking. All right. So anyway, what is your ministry?
Yeah, so, well, first, thank you for having me, Jim.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming.
And, you know, my ministry, it's a nonprofit organization, and it's, simply put, it's to offer strong reasons for trusting in the Christian hope.
Okay.
The reason behind that is we all have our hope in something, whether it's family, friends, a job, but all those things eventually perish. They all eventually go away.
And let you down.
And they let us down. And we ought to put our hope in something that's substantial, that is everlasting. And that's found, as the Bible teaches, in Jesus Christ. So we offer to give strong reasons for that. We don't want just people to believe that blindly, but we want to give them strong reasons for trusting in the Christian hope. And that's actually precisely how I came to faith. I was a skeptic, but my journey kind of started way before that when I was a kid. I always had, I think most people had this, deep questions about life, like what happens after we die, how did the universe get here?
How long is eternity?
How long is eternity? Pretty eternal, I would
right.
imagine.
Yeah.
And, you know, so all those questions were top of mind, but I didn't grow up in a religious household, so I was always told, just forget about it, move on, play baseball, whatever it was. So I did that until I was entering college, and my mother came down with cancer. Everything changed because now the questions were at the forefront. They were amplified. And that's also why I got into cancer. So now my full-time job is a cancer researcher.
Oh, really?
But I'm also doing this ministry on the side. And I couldn't just let those questions go because it wasn't my life at stake. It was my mother's life. So, I saw it, and I tried different religious beliefs like Roman Catholicism, and I was somewhat of a lukewarm.
How old were you?
I was 18, 19.
So you were a teenager with all these questions that had lingered earlier in life.
Yes, exactly. And I was just seeking these answers. And I think the way God has hardwired me is if I don't have answers to questions, I get a little stir crazy.
Okay.
Which is a good thing and a bad thing. I don't give up. I don't need full certainty of things, but I just need strong reasons for what I believe.
Okay.
And I was seeking that. And I tried Roman Catholicism, but I was a lukewarm Catholic, and it just didn't work for me. And I tried New Age practices, and that didn't work. And it took up until my wife and I were invited to a Christian church. And it was just unique and breathtaking. And my wife was sold. She was like, this is incredible. But I was very skeptical. And I still am pretty skeptical of a lot of things. So I spent months seeking and finding, asking these tough questions like, what's the evidence for God existing?
What is the evidence for God existing?
Well, there's plenty. Maybe we could get into that, but I'll give you three. But just real quick to finish that point off. And, I had all these questions. And gradually, I just found these answers compelling. I didn't have, Jesus appear to me or God send me any messages. I just became a Christian knowing that Christianity is true to reality in the same way that the sun rises or gravity is real. So my hope is just to do the same thing for others, is to share those same evidence and reasoning. And we plan to do that through our free resources, so articles, podcasts. I have a podcast called the Truthful Hope podcast, where I interview scholars and pastors. And, I'm earning my master's in Christian apologetics, and apologetics is not apologizing. I always have to clarify that. It's defending the faith, so it's giving reasons for Christianity. So I publish a lot of my scholarly work on there, my academic work. And, we just want to get the word out via conferences or speaking engagements.
So you're not representing a certain church?
No church, no denomination, just the truth of Christianity is what we're looking to spread.
Is this like a Sussex County group, or is this
No, it's remote. It's all remote, and we're donor funded. We're 501c certified. We're nonprofit, so we run solely on donations, and we're remote, so no buildings, no rent we have to pay for, and we just, we're trying to reach the nations. But we want to do so through sound reasoning, and that's our hope.
So if somebody wanted to see or hear some of your sound reasoning, where do they go?
Yeah, so truthfulhope.com, so truthfulhope, one word.com. We have our podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, the Truthful Hope podcast. And on our website, you could donate, truthfulhope.com/donate, or you can invite us to speak. So I'm willing to speak at churches,
Where do you live?
events. I live right over here in Lincoln.
Okay.
Yep.
So how far would you travel to speak?
As far as I'm needed.
Oh, really?
How
far have you traveled?
Dover? Dover, yeah, we've gone to Dover, and we're looking to do in events. We're looking to do some, set up a booth at events and just answer questions, like a simple booth, something like this, and it's just, do you have any questions about Christianity? Give us your objections. Yeah, because we think, for a long time the church was saying, just believe, but people have questions, really good questions, and I myself
give
have
me an
questions.
example.
So for instance, they'll say, I don't believe God exists. Maybe someone in the church will say that, and a pastor may say, oh, we'll just have more faith, right? And I just don't find that to be compelling, because faith in the Bible is trusting in what you have good reasons to believe. So you need those reasons. So I think a pastor should walk them through the reasons that there are for believing God exists, which I think are numerous. And you asked before about the about some evidence for God. I would say there's three that I usually point to. One, the beginning of the universe. So we know through modern science, the Big Bang, everyone calls it, that the universe had a beginning. But the argument goes like this: everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. So it's not showing the Bible, the God of the Bible, but it is showing that there's a transcendent source that caused everything to be, and that would be God. Now, that could be argued in a lot more depth, but that's keeping it simple. The other argument that I find really convincing is the moral argument. And it goes something like this. If God does not exist, then objective morality, how we know right and wrong, does not exist. But objective morality does exist, therefore God exists. So this is commonly, the problem of evil you might have heard. Why does God allow this hurricane or that child to pass? And all these horrible things, but we know they're really bad. They're not just something we think is bad. So the question is, where does that standard come from that we judge good and bad? And it has to come from somewhere transcendent from us.
Right.
So stuff like that is what we're trying to push. And, these arguments have been argued in depth from both sides. So what I try and do on my podcast is invite scholars and pastors who give a scholarly take.
They join you on the podcast.
Yeah, they join me, and we just talk about it. Like, we've talked about evolution. We've talked about the problem of evil. And Pastor Davey has actually been on a couple times. So, we try and just share the truth through sound reasoning, not just blind belief.
Okay. Not just, I said it, you should believe it.
Right. Yeah, because I don't think that's how Jesus taught either. Right. I think, Jesus taught us to know things with confidence. And God gave us these reasoning abilities, not to do small tasks, not to merely survive, but to know Him and who He is. So.
Right. Well, very good. So where do we steer them again?
Truthfulhope.com.
Truthfulhope.com.
Yep. It's and we got an Instagram page, truthful_hope. I'm always posting on there, engaging with the comments. So I'm a firm believer in deep discussion. So if there's disagreement, we invite it. We want people to talk about it. We want to have open discussion. And I think that's how we move forward. That's how we share the gospel.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've only been a Christian for about 6 or 7 years. But again, I told you I'm kind of hardwired to seek these answers. So I feel like
for a living, you research cancer?
Yeah. Oh, for cancer research, yeah. So I'm a bioinformatics scientist.
Whoa. Say that one again. A bio what?
Bioinformatics scientist. It's pretty much computer coding biological data.
Really?
Yeah. So, and again, my mother got me into that because when she went through her cancer, I just thought I can't sit on the sidelines. I was loved to donate to places, but I wanted to get in it.
Okay.
And I was never a science student.
Is this like a job for a living?
Yep. Yeah. So I
Okay.
work from home. I support all the hospitals, or most of the hospitals on the East Coast. So
Okay.
Nemours, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, you name it.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's a blessing to be able to
Okay.
do that.
Where
But
do you go to church?
I go to church at United with
okay.
you.
Okay. All right.
Out in Milford.
You look familiar, so
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what we're trying to do. I think I see God in my work as well, in the science, that we're helping, that we're loving people. But ultimately, true healing and true health and true life comes from the gospel. So
Right.
that's what we're trying to do.
Right. Very good.
Yeah.
How was the interview?
That was great.
Okay, just checking. Okay. So just so you know, in case you don't know, this has also been recorded on Facebook.
Yep.
So you can download the whole show, take your segment out, and use it all you want.
Perfect. That is great. Well,
Okay.
it'll be on
So-
our YouTube channel.
All right. And here's a goodie bag for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay.
That's so
And thanks for joining me. Okay. We may get you back on again. We'll
Thank you,
see.
Jim.
All right.
I hope so.
All right. I'll see you maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.